Hello everybody, my name is Khaled Siddiqui, and in this video I'm going to explain top 10 reasons why you need to use your independent navigation device versus your smartphone for navigating. So the number one reason is the convenience. If you have an independent GPS unit, it's a lot more convenient to use it versus using a smartphone which is full of other apps, and it could cause complications and conflict with other apps, and it may not be as reliable as a GPS device which is actually designed for navigation, and that's what all it does for navigation. Second is the map data. Most GPS devices use Google Maps, which are not a resident of your internal memory. They're using that cell phone towers in order to navigate. Basically, every turn, everywhere that you're going, the GPS needs to download the map data from the cell phone towers. So if you're traveling somewhere where you have no cell phone reception, if you're traveling to a different country where the reception is weak or non-existent, you simply will not be able to navigate because the map data is not loaded to your phone. Now there are map applications that will allow you to download the entire map data to your phone. That takes a massive amount of memory, like 3 to 4 gigabytes of space in your phone, and not to mention that they cost a fortune. They cost just as much as if you would buy a new GPS device, independent GPS device, as you would pay for map data for your smartphone. So the ability to be able to have all the maps in your GPS is a lot more convenient. Not to mention that if you're traveling to a different country, you could have multiple SD cards with different maps of different countries or different regions, which you could swap in and out, which you can't do with your smartphone. And last but not least, about the map, I have to mention that you have to be worried about the data charges that the cell phone companies will charge you. Even I traveled to France, Italy, Europe, and Germany, multiple countries, including England, and a lot of companies offered me unlimited data for Europe. But you know what the catch is? The data is so slow that it's ridiculous. It's not even worth using. It's like a 56K modem back in the old days. That's how slow the data is. So it's basically unlimited data without the speed that you need in order to navigate. It's the same as saying you have an all-you-can-eat buffet, and you enter, and the kitchen can only produce one plate of food at a time. So basically, or I should put it this way, if you have a flat fee of fill up your tank, your car, for let's say a certain amount of money, but when you put the hose to fill up your tank, it's dripping like a single drop at a time. It's going to take you a week to fill up your tank. So that's why the unlimited data plan that they offer for Europe is a joke. Now the European cell phone networks are not slow. They're pretty fast for people who actually pay the price and they reside there. But the tourists who come and receive unlimited data from the like a unlocked phone, American phone or other countries, they are not going to be enjoying the same speeds. If you want to pay by the megabyte, then you will be given the fast speed that you want. In that case, it will cost you thousands of dollars to navigate from point A to point B, and data charges. So that's another main reason that it's good to have an independent GPS unit, especially if you're traveling out of the country. Number 3 is the cellular coverage. Now, even if you are willing to pay for the data, let's say you have unlimited data, what if you go to a desert or to a mountainous region where there aren't any cell phone coverage? So if your map is not loaded onto your cell phone, you basically are out high and dry, lost in the middle of nowhere. That's another reason you need to use your independent navigation device. Response time, number 5. Response time. The response time on GPS is a lot faster than that of a phone. A phone has a lot of things to worry about. It has multiple apps, multiple applications, multiple things running at the same time. Even though it may have a faster processor, but it's like a computer loaded with so many software that each software takes forever to load, or response time is much slower. In a GPS unit, it's only designed for sole purpose of navigation, and when you enter the address or press a button, the response is much faster. Number 6 is independency. If you have a phone and you're navigating and you receive a call, you receive a text message or any other social media chats or messages or notifications, each one of those are another distraction to your navigation. Each one of those is a factor of you making a mistake and making the wrong turn or going the wrong way. And basically, the last thing you want is to get distracted when you're trying to get from point A to point B, especially if it's a new route that you have never been through that route before, or if you're in a completely different country, in a foreign country, or traveling, then you definitely don't want to get distracted with social media notification or text messages or any other type of notification that's very common in a cell phone or a smartphone. Okay? Number 7 is the battery life. First of all, most GPS navigation devices will hook up to your car cigarette lighter. So basically, they're independently powering from the car cigarette lighter, where a cell phone most likely will use its internal battery and it will run out of battery. The last thing you want is to have a weak battery and not being able to communicate in case of emergency because you used your cell phone battery for navigation. In case of emergency, especially when you're traveling in a foreign country, you must have a functional working cell phone, reliable and dependable. You cannot take the risk of draining out your battery when you're traveling in a new country and you have no idea what if your car breaks down and you have no cell phone battery because you use it all for navigation. So that's another reason the battery life is to use your independent GPS navigation device versus your smartphone. Number 8 is features, points of interest, and voice commands. So,
say a command.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So when you say with a cell phone, you don't have that feature. Like I have a cell phone and a GPS. When I say voice command, the GPS will respond. Now the voice command on this one is off, but I do have another one with a voice command running. So this one is a voice activated. Volume
is at 70%.
50.
Volume is at 50%.
Okay, so you get the point. Now, if you're driving, and you need to, Okay. If you're driving and you need to change the volume, in a smartphone you have to reach for your phone and change it. Where with a navigation device you could do it with your voice command. So that's another important feature that you can take advantage of. The other features are points of interest. Navigation devices have many more points of interest, and they constantly updating their points of interest. Tourist attraction. They have more data, such as elevation, such as navigating with points of interest, with coordinates, where the cell phones may not be able to. Some smartphones are able to do that, but some may not be able to do that. For example, you can enter the coordinates, the longitude and latitude GPS coordinates, and get from point A to point B, where with a cell phone you have to have a physical address, you have to punch in the address and whatnot. So that's another feature. Okay, so that was number 8. Number 9, mountability and maneuverability. Now, a GPS mounts to your windshield or to your dashboard very easily with a ball on the back, which allows the GPS to have the following motions: sideways, this way, this way, this way, and this way, and this way. All 6 motions are possible when you have a ball head mounting unit. With a cell phone, usually they have a clip-on, or they have the one that sits in the cup holder, and basically they are not as good. Maneuverability is not as good as that of a cell phone. And then number 10 is the screen size and the screen touch characteristics. If you notice, we have 2 types of the screen size is number 1. See, look at the screen size on this. This is a GPS, a Garmin. This is a Garmin, I believe, Diesel 770, and it can eat an iPhone 7 Plus with the case and still be bigger. I mean, you could see. Look at these things. This has a huge screen. You can get a GPS with a lot bigger screen, which is much more visible in your windshield. I mean, you could mount it far away in a big vehicle and be able to read the screen and read the navigation instructions. Where with a cell phone, you may have a hard time seeing the screen, because the screens of cell phones are not nearly as big as 7 or 8 inches as this Garmin Diesel. So that's another reason you want to stick with independent GPS. Now the touch screen brightness and in the touch characteristics, that's what I'm going to talk about. Obviously, the GPS units are designed for bright daylights in front of you in the windshield, and they are very bright. You could put the brightness to maximum, and even in a sunny day you could see the screen, where cell phones, even if you could set it on the brightest, if it's a very bright sunny day, the screen will be too dark to see. That's another thing. And the last thing, but last but not least, the touch screen is on most cell phones are capacitive, not resistive. Now, what's the difference between capacitive and resistive? The resistive touch screen is the kind that you can apply pressure with any object, with your nail, with your skin of your hand or anything, and the screen will activate. But with capacitive, you have to have your human body or flesh or fingers tips must touch the screen to activate it. It's not going to happen with your fingernail. So if you have long nails, or if you're having a hard time reaching to the screen, you are going to be having a problem maneuvering or changing the address or entering information or touching the screen. Now see the difference. For example, right here I have an iPhone, right? So I'm using a marker. Nothing will work, because this marker is not human skin. It's not conductive, so it will not operate. Same thing with my fingernail. If I hit my fingernail, nothing will happen. But that's not the case with a GPS resistive screen. With a GPS screen, you could use easily use a pen, because the screen does not care if it's your hand or if it's your fingernail or tip of your finger or actual fingernail or any stylus object. The screen will work. Now, not all GPS devices have dual option of resistive and capacitive screens, but you have the choice to choose. Where, as far as the smartphones are concerned, they're mostly like 99.9% shiny glass capacitive screen. All right, so these are the top 10 things I could think of to give you the preference to choose an independent GPS navigation device versus a smartphone that will also do navigation for you. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.